Well, hello and good afternoon, everyone. Hope everybody's having a good afternoon. Got a few things that we're going to have to take care of through the class today. One of the things that I just found out about yesterday, and I just realized I had been asking about this for about a week now, because it was going to be just around the corner, but unfortunately, Encompass Day is not going to happen this year. So really sorry that didn't happen. I was really looking forward to going ahead and meeting everyone. So that's a little bit of a letdown, but we'll get it next year. So good morning, good afternoon to everybody. Let's just kind of start like the video just showed. Encompass University. This is Encompass University, the virtual classes. There are several virtual classes that will be held. That I will not be doing. Actually, Reggie is first thing that's going to happen is starting on the 10th through the 13th, they have a 4-day training refrigeration and seal system class. That's March 10th through the 13th. So if you need to go to the Encompass University site and go ahead and register. Then after that, they have a March 12th through the 13th. They have a 2-day training, lock ring, seal system, hands-on troubleshooting. That's both of those classes are a pay. Those both are a pay when you register class. The thing that we have going on virtually, the next thing we have is ice makers on March the 11th. Ice makers, what to look for common issues. One of the other things is Reggie's going to have a class. I believe it's Reggie on 101 dryer repair, addressing and understanding common heating system breakdowns. Then, of course, on the 17th, there at the Davie Training Center on Davie Road in Davie, Florida, Electrolux is going to be there. Okay, Electrolux is going to be there, and they're going to bring James Drew in. That's going to be an intermediate level class. So just if you're going down in that area, go ahead and register now on all the classes that I have previously mentioned. Please go ahead and register now. So I really appreciate everybody showing up. Looks like we got about 20 people here today. Thank you very much. We're going to go ahead and we're going to get started. Okay, so Encompass, as you well just saw on that presentation, I really liked that. That was the first time that I actually had seen that. Encompass is actually the leading provider of original replacement parts and after sales services. You saw the whole service that was done there at the Encompass facility in, the Encompass facility in Lawrenceville. Great facility. Been there many a time. Really like it. Really nice people. So one of the things that Encompass also furnishes for you at no charge to anybody is their Easy Stock app. Okay, you can do a whole lot with this Easy Stock app. You can start by getting my parts laid out so that I know exactly where my parts are. The other thing that I can do is I can track my parts so that if I actually drop below a certain level, I can set it so that it will actually either order it or notify me that I need to order the part. So one of the other things as a technician that just really we need to be cognizant of is what's my fast moving parts. We all know that between July and December, there's a whole myriad of problems that we have, and our fast moving parts that start in June, July. Those aren't the same fast moving parts that are going to be in September, October time frame. So just as a technician, I always was looking for ways that I could help myself. And one of the Easy Stock app is actually a great tool that I can do that. If you want to, you can go to the HTTPS YouTube video that is actually printed right here. I'm going to give you just a minute so that you can go ahead and write that down. That'll just take you out there and you can look at it and you can actually see the Easy Stock app in full function. Okay. So refrigerator, what we're going to talk about today is refrigerator training before changing a compressor. That's going to be the first part of the class. Then we're going to follow that up. We're going to have some common issues that we're going to have. And then the very last part of it, we're actually going to look at some of the new technology that is being brought to the marketplace, and that's GE. There are several that are out there that are several other manufacturers that actually are either A, in development, or B, have it, but they're in their infant stages. GE pretty much has it taken care of. Hire America bought GE out, and they came in and they put their knowledge to work, and they really jumped on it, and GE has jumped in front of everybody right now for diagnosis for a refrigerator. So let's go ahead. So whenever I get the call at the very beginning, these are the questions that I need to be asking. If it's not me and I have an assistant or I have somebody, for me, it was my girlfriend at the time was the person that I had taking the calls. And these are the questions that I asked her to ask the customer. Okay. So the very first thing that we get is what I need to ask is, are you in front of the refrigerator right now? Okay. Very important that we get all the information that we need to gather, so that if it's me, that it's a technician, that I'm coming out to the house, I want to have as much information in front of me that I can possibly have. If I am if I don't know the answers to all of these questions, I'm going to have possible issues before I even start working on the appliance itself. Okay, so one of the things is that I ask them to do, which is very easy right now. The customer calls in and you ask, are you in front of the refrigerator? If they are, you just simply ask them, could you please send me a picture of the model number and the model number serial plate off of the unit? And then you have to be able to tell the customer where those model and serial plates are located. Most of the time they're in the front of the refrigerator on the left or right side. As a over under refrigerator, it's usually, if I open the door, it's on my left or right side at the very front. If I have a 4-door refrigerator, mine on my Electrolux model is I have a 4-door refrigerator, and it's on the left side. No, I'm sorry, it's on the right side at the very front. So you need to have that information so that the person that is you have answering the phone can assist the customer. So how long have you been experiencing the current issue? The reason that they called you, that's an important thing to know. Is the freezer section still freezing, or is it cold, or what? Tell me a little bit more about it. Okay. The other thing that you can ask them to do is, if you walk up to the front of the refrigerator and you lay your hand in the first 3 to 6 inches on the side, do I feel any warmth? Okay, on that area. If I don't, then I'm thinking, oh, I may have a compressor issue, or the compressor's not running. Okay, so are there any obstructions preventing the technician from pulling the refrigerator out, such as an island counter? This is super important. This tells me how many people I'm going to have. If I do not have an air sled, I really am going to have problems, because if I were to try to move my Electrolux refrigerator with it fully loaded, yeah, I'm probably looking at almost 500 pounds that it's fully loaded. You know, is there any type of flooring that would prevent me from pulling the refrigerator out? So what does this tell me? I want to know what kind of flooring is down, so that the technician knows as soon as he pulls up to the house, I need to make sure to bring my mat so that I can pull it all the way out. Okay. One of the other things that you need to ask, used to drive me crazy, was, as a technician, I would get there and I would say, Miss Jones, I need you to help me empty the refrigerator so that I can get it out. Do you have a cooler? Well, 10 minutes later, they finally come out. Either that, or she gets really upset because I'm asking her to do something, and she doesn't feel like she should have to do that. So I may need somebody to help me unload it, depending on what it is. And once again, I have to have enough space that I can move stuff around, like put it in the sink, put a towel on it, put some ice on it. How much counter space am I going to have? You just need the technician needs to know that before he even walks into the house. Okay. So top 5 reasons that my refrigerator won't cool. Number 1, power surge. unplug the refrigerator, let it sit for about, it says 4 minutes. That's really, I usually about 3 minutes is fine. Then I'm gonna plug it back in, and I'm gonna listen, and I'm gonna see if the refrigerator compressor comes on. I'm going to be able to hear the fan motor turning, um, the condenser fan. Okay. So one of the other, probably the most, the problem, the thing that's number one to me is dirty condensing coils. Okay. So what do? I just remove the toe plate, take my flashlight, look down and see just how clogged it is. If I have a clogged condensing coil with pet hair, dirt, lint, I've got to clean that before I can do anything else, because that gives me a false reading. Okay, so once I do that, I immediately get up, open the door, and I look to see what the yes, what I'm talking about right now is for first time technicians or somebody that's just started their business. Um, so make sure that there's where am I at? Yeah, make sure that there's no obstructions placed in front of the vents. Is anything stuck, such as ice, not allowing the unit to circulate the air? The other thing is the seal system issue. Is it a restriction in the system itself? So I'm going to have to figure all of that out, being a first time technician on coming out. Okay. So what information is located on the model and serial tag? As most technicians know, there's a whole lot more information than just the model and serial number. Why do I want a picture of the model and serial tag though? Because it has so much more information on it. It gives me my model number, I get my serial number, I get what type of refrigerant is in the unit. It tells me my amps that I'm supposed to be pulling. If I have written all that into the ticket, I'm a one step ahead of the of the of the system. Okay, so most of the time, okay, it's either on the left or the right side. Sometimes on some of the older refrigerators, it could be on the back of the refrigerator, or it could even be, if once I remove the toe plate, I can get to it. The ones that really were out there that had a toe plate, and that's where I would find it, were the Sears brand, the Kenmore. Okay. So what's on it? The model number, the serial number, type of refrigerant. It tells me how much. It tells me the amount of the refrigerant. It also has an electrical rating that is on it. It tells me what the defrost wattage is there. It will help me to determine the information that I can do to do my job properly. Okay. This is actually a picture of my Electrolux refrigerator. Okay. This is exactly where it is. It's on the left wall, actually on the right wall. You can look right there, and there's my there's my thing of dressing right there in front of it. Okay, but it tells me my model number, tells me my serial number, it tells me all of that information is right there. And if I have my camera, I can actually scan all that. If I know that I can scan all that information in, that's one thing about the Electrolux one. It'll give me a model number, serial number that I can scan in using a barcode scanner. Okay. If not, I can write it down. But every time that I'm there, I'm going to make sure that I double check the model number and the serial number, because the last thing you want is to have your claim rejected. It doesn't take many times for your claim to get rejected, and then you have real problems. Okay. Here's a Sub-Zero. A lot of the Sub-Zeros, I have to pull up on this, pull out, and lift up on the plate here. That's an example of a Sub-Zero. Here again is a side by side. If you notice, it's up on the top right side, just where I said it was for a that. Okay, this is the one thing that used to just drive me crazy being one of the managers. Can you really damage a floor if you're being careful? Absolutely. These are pictures on the left side are actual pictures that I took because a technician thought he was being careful, but the one on the left, whenever he went to drag it out, there was something that had gotten pushed down on the refrigerator. When he pulled it out, it just scratched the floor all to pieces. That cost me a whole lot of money to get that fixed. The one in the center was about a $6,000 fix because I ended up having to replace the flooring because it was a linoleum floor. Okay. The last one on the right side, that's a water issue. So as a technician, I have got to be super careful whenever I go in and I push the refrigerator back, because I can actually cause a leak to spring from where the water line is hooked into the refrigerator. Okay. So what do I use for flooring protection? I've got three methods here. Of course, if I have my druthers, I'm going to go here and go to this air sled that's on the far right. That is a little bit expensive. It's a whole lot more expensive than the two flooring protection places. Okay. But I've got to have some kind of flooring protection down. It doesn't matter if it's a whole, if it's one of these half sheets, if it's one of in the center. I did see a technician that had the one that's in the center. Actually, the one that I had rolled up, but his was in about a 2.5 to 3 foot piece, and it came in a little kit, and it kept it from getting damaged around whenever I laid it down, and whenever I picked it back up, it had a protective case for it. If I'm going to do something and I'm going to be in this business for a while, I'm going to go to this air sled. I can move so much with this air sled. One person can move almost anything. Whenever I get in and I've got a washing machine and it's full of water and I'm trying to get it and move it so that I can get it drained out, I can do that with that air sled with one person with no problem. Okay. I'm at the door at the home and I'm wearing my proper PPE equipment. Okay. This is something that I like to tell everybody. You need to be having this conversation with any technician that you have. And if you're your own technician and you're a one-man show, I always had booties that I put on over my shoes. It didn't matter if it was a bright sunny day or if it's not. I had customers that said, "Oh, well, I don't allow shoes in my house." You then have a choice of what you're going to do. I can either tell the customer, which is the truth, I cannot come into your house if I take my shoes off because it's an OSHA violation for me. Okay, so I have to have shoes on, and I put my booties on over my shoes. Most of the time, the customers are fine with that. Okay, I always carried a pair of gloves, either latex gloves or a pair of work gloves. That way, I kept my protection. I didn't cause any scratches or anything. I always wear a watch. I used to have a wedding band. I don't anymore. Hope I never get another wedding band. But you got to be careful of scratching something, because the customer is going to tell you, later on, oh, you scratched my floor. So how do I prevent that? Okay, the first thing that I tell the guys that were under me, I said, always whenever I'm walking into the house, I pay particular attention to any floor damage, any wall damage, any of that. And I take pictures of that. Okay. I used to, whenever I was the technician, I would take a picture of the ticket that had the customer's information on it. And then I would take pictures going in, because I guarantee you there's damage even at my house. There's little spots and damages that I don't ever pay attention to, but you have customers out there that will try to hook you for damage, and you've got to have the proof that there was no damage there. So what I would tell people is take your camera, take pictures or take a video walking in, and just walk slow so that I can get all the information just in case. You can usually tell when your problem may arise. But I always tell them, do it for everyone. You can always delete everything at the end of the day, but at least I have the proof. I had a technician that said that I had a customer call me swearing that my technician had damaged her floor. Well, I called him. He was like, "What are you talking about?" I go, "Yeah. Did you take pictures?" "Yes, I did." "Okay, fine. I need you to send them to me on my phone so that I can look at them, so that I can address this with the customer." And lo and behold, that damage was already there. And he even pointed that out and made the customer sign it, his ticket, saying that damage was already there before he got it. This was a very dishonest customer, but you're going to run into those. So you have to make sure that you are actually covering yourself. Okay. I'm covering myself. I'm covering my company, and I'm doing the most that I can to take care of the customer, so they don't have any damages. Okay. So whenever I first come in, I set my tools on a mat, and then I set my tool pouch down or my tool box down. I verify the complaint with the customer. I make sure that the model and serial information is correct. Then I work from the front of the refrigerator of the unit as easy. That's easier for me. So that way I don't have to move as much product around. Okay. But if I am going to have to be moving the product out or around, I'm always going to use my flooring protector. Okay. I'm going to divide the product in half. Okay. If it's an ice maker issue, make sure that I check the ice maker, the water coming to the ice maker. So that may be the first thing I do. If I have an ice maker issue, I may pull the unit out a little bit, see where the first thing I'm going to do is open the door and look and see if I've got the water is turned on. If I don't have the water turned on, then that's my problem. The other thing that I'm also going to ask the customer is, when was the last time that you changed the water filter? And that you're going to have to let them tell you. So if I have water, if she says, "Well, I changed it a week ago," I go in and I take and put my glass, because most of the time I have both ice and water in the door, and I'm going to check and I'm going to see if I have water coming through the water side of it. And if I don't, then I'm going to have to go and short cycle the ice maker and see if I have any water coming into the ice maker. Okay. So I'm trying to avoid pulling that refrigerator out. So if I have checked the valve and I know that that's good, I check the water and make sure that I have water coming to the refrigerator. Then I short cycle it If I don't get anything from the short cycle, then I may have to pull the refrigerator out because I've usually got one or two problems. I either have a water valve issue or a board issue. Okay, so I'm going to make sure that I'm taking care of it. Whenever I determine that I may have a water valve issue, I'm going to go to my truck. I'm going to get my bucket with all of my rags, and probably I'm going to take my little vacuum, wet dry vacuum, and go in with it just to keep so that if there's any spillage at all, I get it up off the floor, and the customer can't say, "Oh, well, you damaged my floor." Okay, so not cooling complaint. Open the freezing door, check and see if the back panel is frosted up. If so, place the unit into a defrost. If you see frost lines, if it dissipates after about 5 minutes, then remove the items from the freezer if it doesn't. And then I'm going to have to check my bimetal, and then I'm going to check my heater to make sure that that's my issue. While I've got that pulled out, and if I don't have any frost on the front panel, I'm going to feel the sides of the refrigerator to see if it's hot, warm. If not, I'm going to place flooring protection down, pull the refrigerator out, remove the screws from the panel, feel the compressor to see if it's running, if it's warm or if it's hot. Then I'm going to look over and see if my condensing fan motor is turning. If my condenser fan motor is turning, then I know that I've got power going to my compressor usually, because those two things run in parallel. Okay, so I'm going to pull the refrigerator out. I'm moving the screws. Then I can feel the discharge line from the hot side, and that should be warm to hot. The old ones, anything older than about 2000, they're hot. They're not warm or hot. Warm too hot, they're hot. They will burn you. So you have to be careful. Now my suction side, that should be cool to the touch. If it's freezing if it's freezing and I see frost patterns on that tells me that I have another issue, and that could be that I have the system either overcharged and it's gone all the way back to the suction line, or it could be that I have a restriction in the system. That's what I've got to figure out from that point. Okay, so after I do that, I'm gonna have to start checking to see what is wrong with my compressor if my compressor is not running. Okay, so this is actually, I have two refrigerators in my house in Daytona Beach. This is actually the manual control circuit for my refrigerator. Okay, this is my 18 cubic foot over under refrigerator that I have on the back in the back room. Okay, this is so simple. This is so easy to fix. I've got a defrost timer. My defrost timer powers my whole system. So the defrost timer, I can turn it on. I can click it. Once I get, if I click it and it goes into a defrost, my defrost thermostat will kick it off if it gets too warm, and then it will kick it off, and my defrost heater will stop. Okay, but on the other side, right here, if you look, this is in the defrost mode, and the reason that it's in that defrost mode, and you can also tell that the defrost heater has already been shut off. So if I see this, I am going to, and I know that my refrigerator, my freezer section is supposed to be really cold, and it's not. I'm going to go directly to that defrost thermostat that you see right there, and I'm going to make sure that my defrost thermostat is closed. If not, and it's open, I'm going to have to replace the defrost thermostat. If my defrost thermostat is good, I go to my defrost heater and I'm going to check my defrost heater, because on this one it's a Cal-Rod heater. It's very easy to check. Most of the time, I can just touch it with my finger and tell if it's good. I can actually look at the Cal-Rod part of the heater and see if it has any breaks in it. And if I do, then I know for a fact that this is only going to be that I'm going to have to do the I'm sorry, I'm trying to read three things at once. I'm going to have to replace the defrost heater. Joshua, it looks this training should be about 1 hour and 30, maybe 15 to 20 minutes is what this is. Okay, so let's take just a minute because I'm trying to read too many things here to catch up with everybody. Okay, does anybody have any questions? You can see that Joshua, Michelle, and Rupert, and Gary, and Janine are already have figured out how to put stuff into the comment box. So here, I'll put mine in. So there we go. So does anybody have any questions so far? This is our basic 101 refrigerator check. Okay. We're going to start moving on more to the more intermediate portion of the program. But I wanted to make sure that we had this part covered. This is a good refresher. Okay. Okay. So if I look right here at this same control circuit, okay, if I look, I see that my frost control is closed. Okay, so that tells me right there that if I'm just coming out of the defrost mode, my cold control should be open. If it's not open, then I'm going to have to check my cold control and make sure that it is cycling like it should. Because what should happen is once it comes out of defrost mode, it will actually it will revert back to the defrost timer will now swap the single pole, single throw switch, and it will go down and will start my fan motor and my compressor. Okay. Because the compressor and the fan motor, if you look at this, it shows you that these are wired in series. Okay. So for me right there, that tells me that if my compressor is not running, I need to make sure that my fan motor is running. My fan motor's running, I'm going to have to go back and I'm going to have to check the power coming out of the cold control. If I have power coming out of the cold control, I know that I have either a break in the line or something is the matter with my connection between my compressor and my fan motor. Okay. As things have advanced, like I said, the one that I have is a very simple that I have sitting in my back room. That's a very simple, that's just a Frigidaire refrigerator that was made in like 1990 is whenever I bought it. Because the old one was R12 and it went kaput and I had to just get rid of it. But this is an older, this side by side Whirlpool. my dad actually has this one. It has an adaptive defrost control. So what's happened is we've gone from the old manual timer to an adaptive defrost control. So what did that help whenever I'm a technician, okay? Or if I'm a customer? It improves my efficiency because it doesn't always go into the frost at the same time. Mine, like I said, my over under refrigerator actually every day exactly at the same time goes into defrost. It's on an 8-hour timer. Once that 8-hour timer clicks, then it goes into a defrost. My Whirlpool side by side goes up to the next step. And what it does is it actually looks at the opening and closing of the door switches. The door switches then tell me I need to go into defrost either a whole lot sooner or I don't need, nobody's been in it for a while, so I don't need to be in defrost at all. I'll just let it run until I get door open and closes before then. Okay. This is our next step up. Okay. The next step from that, this is a Samsung RF18. Okay. That one is actually an over under refrigerator also. And this goes the newer boards. And this one has both 120 volts and DC voltage all built into the board. So I've got to be able to read my wiring schematics, know which ones are 120 volts and which ones are DC voltage that could range somewhere between 3 and 12 volts DC. I need to know that to be able to fix it out, because if I put DC voltage on my meter, if I turn it to DC voltage on my meter and I hit 120 volts on it, I will actually short my meter out. And now I have a really bad problem. Okay. I'm going to be flying blind. Okay. So one of the things as a technician that I really truly need to know is I need to know Ohm's law. Okay. Ohm's law is an important and fundamental rule to remember when we're working with resistors and electronics in general. It defines a relationship between the compressor current in amps, which is the A, voltage in volts, which is the V, and resistance in ohms, which is the little upside down horseshoe. Okay. So Ohm's law says volts, okay, that's the V on the right side, volts equals I, what was I, which is the amps, okay, or times R, which is the ohms, okay, so it's volts, amps, and resistance, okay. These are my formulas that I need to know. I need to have these. Whenever I was a technician, I actually had this taped to my box so that I had it readily with me so that I didn't make any mistakes. Okay. So other common issues in a refrigerator that mimics a not cooling issue. If I have ice in the drain area, I have a really bad problem. Okay. I have to go and figure out just exactly why I'm having this issue. Okay. If I go to that, I'm sorry, I'm looking at at something else now. It is amps. Oops. Let me see if I can get back. Okay, let me come back. I'm going to have to go back to, let's see. Go back one more. Nope, too many. Okay. So it's volts, times, okay, volts times amps times resistance. So the I is your current in amps. Did that answer your question, Johnny? Johnny, can you give me a yes or a no? Okay. Just want to be sure. Okay. So some of the things in this was always time consuming. If I have ice in the drain area, the worst time for me was a side by side refrigerator that was a 20 a 21 23 cubic foot refrigerator because they're so narrow. I'm fairly wide if you can't tell. Um, so I always please don't use a heat gun. Go ahead and spend you $28 on on a on a steamer and use a steamer. I had a technician that ruined a customer's refrigerator because he just turned it on and thought, oh well, it'll sit here and it will it'll just it'll I'll be able to tell whenever I need to move it. Well, he didn't pay any attention. He was a young technician, and we ended up buying a refrigerator because he just left it there. So one thing about a steamer, it helps me um, to defrost the issue. Okay. I also comes again my bucket with my rags and my bucket, my rags, and my steamer all in a little box in a little in my 5 gallon bucket. Took them in, put my rags down because I have to empty the freezer out in that area so I can get to it. So one of the common problems that you find in that drain is the little paper that people get whenever I buy buy my meat and it's got that little sticker in it. That may be that gets down into the drain. I had customers that would actually just take like peas and carrots and little chunks like that and just throw them those peas and carrots just in the bin, and then it would get knocked out and thrown out all over the bottom. Gets washed over into the drain because the open and closing of the drawer. It makes it difficult. Okay, so what happens is the unit will go into the unit. They've done this, and now it'll go into a freeze again. That stuff got pushed down into the drain, or in that drain area, and then it actually clogs the drain. So what I have to do is of course, look around the area, try to clear the issue of whatever stopped up the drain. I get my towels in my steamer. I place my towels in the area to be clean and on the floor. Use the steamer and clean the drain area. Then I remove the obstruction. I always kept it so that I could show it to the customer to show her why she was being charged as much as she was. We were not on a one size, it costs this much to do that. We charged by the time that it took me to do that. Okay. So then after I do all that, I've got to clean the area up, take all the towels and the steamer out in my bucket to the truck. That's the reason I always kept whatever was in there so I could show the customer that what caused the drain to be clogged, and then how they could prevent that in the future. Okay. Noises will drive a technician crazy because 9 times out of 10, I hardly ever walked in and went, oh, there's the noise. That's pretty easy. So you get into one of those areas where you walk in and the customer says, well, it was doing it 5 minutes ago. And I'm like, okay, well, how after it quits, how soon does it start to start the noise back? Oh, well, it may be a month, it may be a week. What am I going to do? So one of the things that you can do is you can actually ask the customer to tape the noise while it's making it. Okay, then ask when the noise usually occurs. I had a customer that had an expensive um, dishwasher, a Bosch, and it had a float switch in it, and he thought that it was the floats. He thought that it was the refrigerator making the noise when it wasn't even the refrigerator. It was the float switch that was in the dishwasher that was going off because he had a small leak. So you're going to run into all kinds of things that you just need to be aware of. Okay. But that's why I used to ask the customer to tape the noise, because usually you can tell if it's actually the refrigerator. Now, do you have the noise in the refrigerator a lot? Sure. If I have something that gets pushed back and pushed down into the condenser area, I can get a noise where the fan is hitting the obstacle. So I just gotta try to be figuring out what the issue is. Okay. So, like I said, there was not right there is another example where the customer had a piece of plastic that was hitting the condenser fan motor. So every time it spun, you had and so it was great. Okay. So always look for the reset button on a refrigerator motherboard, especially in LG. Okay. Unplug the refrigerator and then depress the up. It's the up button while after plugging the unit in. Okay. So I'm going to depress that reset button so that I can check this out. On an LG refrigerator, there's your reset button. Okay. Many of the newer refrigerators will have a reset button. My dad has one that is a Samsung that's a 4-door refrigerator, and his actually does have this reset button just like this LG refrigerator. Okay, so I need to know this information before I go into the house, because I need to know if it's got that reset button. So how can I find that button? Well, most of the time today, all I have to do is YouTube it. I will guarantee you that there's a video out there, because this guy has had this same problem, and it's one of the things that helps me out as a technician. I have a YouTube that I can go and look at it. Whenever I came up, we didn't have YouTube. I didn't even have a cell phone. The first cell phone that I got was whenever I had been in the business for about 8 to 10 years. Okay. I was 1978 whenever I first started my career, and we had a pager. You think you've got it bad today with where you don't get you don't have a signal? We didn't. I had to go find a payphone, and it may be 15, 20 miles from where I'm at, because I was in the country and there weren't a whole lot of towns. So you've got YouTube, use it. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Always never do it in front of a customer. Okay. Always go out and tell the customer, yes, ma'am, I need to run out to the truck for just a minute. I want to check on a part that I have and make sure that it's the right part for this one. You can make up something to get out there and look it up for YouTube so that you can find that out. But if you've already got all the information with you, you can literally look it up before you go into the customer's house, and then you already know what you've got to do. Okay. I watched this customer sit and go through, just start mashing buttons. Okay. What he did was he actually put his refrigerator in the demo mode because he just kept mashing buttons. Okay. You can tell right there that it says -5, 2, and I think it was 32 at the top whenever I took this. And it's like, sir, you can't just start mashing buttons. What you just did is put it in demo mode. Now I've got to take it out of demo mode, and that may have been your problem to begin with. But you have to be the technician that watches and asks customers questions. And if I find this out, I tell the customer, if you do this, you're going to end up paying me next time again because you're going to put it back in demo mode. Just if you'll call me, I'll tell you how to check to see if it's running right. Really, right there, I can look on this display and I can see that I'm at -5, and I think that my refrigerator was at 38 whenever I took this picture. So that right there tells me that I really don't have any problems with it unless I have something that's not where it's not defrosting, which will mimic a no cool. Okay, so I don't know if everybody knows how to do this. I don't like taking the laser thermostat and clicking it and letting it tell me what the temperature in the freezer is. I'm old school. But a lot of the times people don't even know how to set a thermostat as a new technician. So if I have a pocket thermostat, which I always had with me, okay, all I do is I go to the customer, tell the customer I need a glass of ice water. I'm going to take my thermostat. I'm going to put it in and stick it in the glass of ice water. I'm going to swirl it around. Once I swirl it around, I'm going to take it out and I'm going to look at it just like it is right here. Once I do that, I'm going to set that for 32 degrees because water freezes and it also turns liquid at 32 degrees. Okay. So after I've calibrated it, I'm going to take my thermostat. I'm going to set it right in the middle of the freezer. I'm going to close the door. I'm going to confirm the information on the model serial tag. I'm going to look at the plate of the freezer in the freezer compartment. I'm going to make sure that that's not the issue, and then I'm going to go and move along. Okay. So what if my evaporator coil is frozen? This all gets back to what we were talking about, where I have to go in and I have to go in and take and clean the ice out of the bin. Okay. I'm gonna go a little bit right here. Right now, what I call the compressor is the heart. Okay. The heart of this refrigerator is the compressor. Okay. The piston type reciprocating compressor is the most widely used compressor in domestic refrigerators. Okay. That's because of its compact size, its low cost, high efficiency. It works on the principle of positive displacement and uses the refrigerant gas in 4 stages. Why do they fail? Several factors lead to the failure of a compressor. They can include a high voltage surge, a dirty condensing coil, refrigerant issues, or general wear and tear. I've got my dad's refrigerator that's sitting out here, along with mine that's sitting at my house in Daytona. I don't really keep anything in the refrigerator that is in the back room. That way, if something goes bad, since I'm not there, I don't have to haul everything out and just throw the whole thing away. Usually, I can go ahead and get what I need to get done, and I can fix what I got to fix, and then just throw what little bit I have in there. Usually, I have something like mustard, ketchup, a little mayonnaise. I may have some pickle relish in there. I keep it very slim and not a whole lot of things in there because I do have another refrigerator that I use. And if that one goes bad, then I'm in a world of hurt because that's where all my meat is. Okay. So what does a compressor look like inside a refrigerator? You would be surprised of the number of technicians that's never taken one apart. This is what it actually looks like on the inside of the compressor. Okay. We now have this right here is actually a flow of a compressor. So okay, so what we have here is the suction line. It comes in, okay, comes in through the suction line, goes down. It has a suction valve that opens and closes. How does it open and close? Is right there is a piston, and that piston looks just like a piston in a car. Okay, whenever that piston is pulled out, that suction valve opens. When that piston reaches the follow through push point, it actually closes the suction valve. Whenever that suction valve closes, the discharge valve gets pushed, and the discharge valve goes out into the discharge line. Okay. The one thing, if I have R600 along with any of the other refrigerants, I have to be very careful of the oil. In an R600 refrigerator, I am going to have about 30 to 40% of the oil is going to contain refrigerant. Okay. So it's not a matter of how long I'm going to have, how long it is before I have a problem, because it's going to happen sooner or later. So if it's R600, I do not want to use any kind of torch, any kind of open flame. I don't want to discharge this refrigerant anywhere except in a bag or somewhere outside. So if I put it somewhere outside, I have to have it in an area that there's no smoke. I just not normally, what I do is I take and drain my refrigerant into the bag. Okay. Once I do that, I cut it. Once I do that, I plug it, because I can plug it with the plugs off of my new compressor. Okay. I plug that, then I take that out, and I can actually just go ahead and take that out to my truck and quickly get rid of that, and then I can get back to fixing my refrigerator. So how do I check the components of the compressor? These actually are where the components are staged. Okay. First, I've got to remove the box that contains the components. Okay. Then I'm going to look at the components that are inside the box. There are two styles of overloads. Okay. There is the solid state overload, which is the one that's on the left. And then it's the old style overload, which is the one on the right. The start relay there is a solid state start relay. The next slide is going to show, I'm going to show you how to check the old PTC relay. Okay. So I'm sorry, not this one. It's the one after this one. So this is my solid state. Okay. Notice that I have one wire that comes in to the overload. Please do not put a run capacitor on a refrigerator. This actually was something that a technician showed me, and I was going to remove it, and it took too much of the too much of the other stuff. This is 120 volts going into this compressor. Okay, I have one line that goes into the relay terminal. Okay, and it goes to the run windings. Okay, then it goes from that to the overload. Okay, this is our old PTC relay. Oh, our PTC relay. Okay, we're gonna use my ohm meter. I'm going to measure the resistance between terminals two and three at the ambient temperature. Okay, the value should be near those presented in the list that's right here. If I have a PTC relay, and that's the relay number there, I should read somewhere between 2.8 and 5.2 ohms. Okay, if I have the 7M 4R or the 8M 4R or the 8EA 14C, I should read somewhere between 3.8 to 5.6 ohms. Okay. Now the other kind of PTC relay, I'm going to get between 3.5 and 6.5 ohms. That's the PTC that's got the 8EA4 or my 8EA3 or my 8EA21. Those I should read between 3.5 and 6.5 ohms. My relay PTC, that's an 8EA5, that should read 14 to 26 ohms. My relay that's 7M220 or my 8M220 or my 8EA, I should read between 17.6 to 24 ohms, 24.6 ohms. Okay, so this is an electromechanical relay. So I'm going to take my relay. I'm going to check between 1 and 2 of the relay. If there's no change, I'm going to change the relay. Okay, with the relay in the vertical position, which I'm holding it like this, the coils should be pointed up. If you look at the picture, that is pointed up. Okay, I'm going to check continuity between terminals 1 and 3 of the relay. If there is no change, change the relay and then repeat step 1, and it should fix it. Okay. Then, if I have the relay in the vertical position, the coil flipped and turned down, I'm going to check between 1 and 3. If I have it going through there, I'm going to have to change that relay. Okay, real quick, does anybody have any questions? Johnny, I'm sorry, I had it blown up and I didn't have it where I could actually see the comments that you had made. Okay, so we're going to keep moving because we're running behind. Okay, what if my evaporator coil is frozen on one side? If I've got this, I'm going to check for a leak in the system. Okay, what tools if I diagnose a compressor failure? Okay, there are different tools for whatever I'm using. If I'm using R22, R502, if I'm using R134A, I'm going to need assorted hand tools, cordless drill, amp meter, torch, gauges, recovery system, and a process tube adapter kit. Okay. So what am I going to, before I do anything else, I'm going to make sure that I actually have the compressor issue. And that's where we just talked about how to fix the start windings. The other thing that I can do is I can make sure that my overload is good. If my overload is bad, I can change the overload. But 99 times out of 100, in my experience, if I have a bad start winding or a bad run winding, I'm going to probably have an overload failure. Okay. One of the other things that I need to do as a technician is to check my lock to make sure that I have no locked rotor. How am I going to check to make sure that I don't have have a locked rotor? Okay. So here's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to go between the common and the start. Okay. I should read between 3 and 11 ohms. If I go between the common and the run, I should read between 1 and 5 ohms. Any compressor pin to ground, I should get infinite resistance or it should be open. Okay. If I have an inverter compressor, I should read somewhere between 6.2 to 11 ohms between any of the two pins, any of those two different pins between the common, the start, and the run. So if I'm going between common and start, I'm going to read 6.2. If I'm going to go between the common and the run, I'm going to read the same 6.2 to 11. Okay. So here's an example of what I'm checking. Like I was showing, I can actually go to the start and run with my common at the top. Okay. That's the way I'm making sure that I have no grounding. Okay. So we had talked about the other way. Okay. This is pinch off pliers, gauges, shut off valves, vacuum pump, assorted fittings, pliers, the evacuation tube pliers, sandpaper, flux, silver solder, a mirror, and a leak detector. This is what else I have to bring in. Not only that, I have to bring in my can of refrigerant, which in most cases, it's not one of these little small bottles. It's a 30-pound container. So we make it so that it's so much easier if I don't do a seal system with this torch. If I do it, here's my different torches that I can use. This is how to adjust the flame on my torch. Okay, I actually had a technician try to tell me that this was a good solder joint, which is kind of funny. Okay, so this is showing you exactly how I should be having my flame. My flame should never be this far out as the center one. I want to be about right where that one is on the center one there. I need to pull my torch in so that I get a continual roll out there. Okay, here's what I've got to have for my torch. Okay, this is so much easier. I can use this on an R600. I can use it on an R12. It doesn't really matter. If you use the 00 fittings, which are made for refrigeration for appliances, I can use this H-Mark tool that for my R600. I am certified with this. That's these are the classes that are coming up that I was telling you about when we first started this program. So if you need to become certified, go ahead and register for those 2 classes. Come on and make sure that you've got everything that you need and that you're proficient in it. Okay. This is our lock ring advantages. Okay. It's suitable for flammable refrigerants. It's customer friendly on-site service with a reduced logistics cost. Okay. Why is it a reduced logistics cost? A lot of the times, I had a training in Texas, and they actually went to the customer's home, pulled the refrigerator out of the home, gave them a substitute refrigerator, took it to the shop and fixed it, and then they brought it back and swapped it out again. That is a serious disaster issue looking for a place to happen. Okay, it's clean, it's fast, it's reliable. The assembly process is makes it uh, good for highly combustible areas, even with a heavy foot traffic or during business operations. One of the things that I used to hate whenever I worked for the first company I ever worked for, which is where I learned to solder, we had to either do it first thing in the morning or after hours where they were going to close. So we had to be there before they opened or after they closed, because I was working on ice makers. And you can't have a heavy foot traffic area. That's one good thing about R600 with the lock ring system, not just R600. That's one good thing about the lock ring system. I can have it in this area, and I don't really have to have. I can have foot traffic, and it doesn't bother me. Okay. It's a simple assembly with no power connection. The only power connection that you're going to have is a vacuum pump that I'm going to have. Okay. I have no heavy brazing equipment, no brazing related quality problems, other tools that might help your technician. Okay. So one of the things that we really have come a long way from the very beginning. And you may not even like this. Me personally, if I am going to be working on General Electric appliances, and I have a technician friend of mine that is over in Conyers, Georgia, and I think that I showed him the benefits to having this Smart HQ tool. Okay. The tool itself is about $200. That's not bad at all. The problem is you have a yearly subscription fee. But if I'm a technician or I'm an owner of a business, I have to figure that in. I charge that off for each call that I go on. But this tool is great. It gives me all the information that I could possibly need for the appliance that I'm working on. Whenever I plug this in, no matter if it's a refrigerator, if it's a washer, a dryer, a dishwasher, any appliance that GE makes, this will work. It actually uses a combination of this GE Smart HQ device and my phone or my tablet. I would tell you that if I have it, I'm going to use my tablet. It makes the screen easier for me to read. Okay, but this thing will actually take in and tell you how many door openings it's had. How many times have you walked out and said, "Hey, I need to, Miss Jones, it looks like you don't have a problem. I can't find it." Well, what happens if the kid has walked away and left the door open all the time? Well, it causes all kinds of other issues. We've already talked about frosting and ice and the drain and everything. That all is maybe part of what the problem is. But this will tell me exactly what the problem is. If I have a failure, it will actually show me what part has failed and give me instructions on where on the wiring diagram I need to go and look. This is one great tool. Okay. So this is going to be the conclusion of our program for today. Okay. There is another, give me just a second. I'm trying to find it. Reggie sent it here, so I have got to find it. Here we go. I'm going to play this. Oops, nope. that's the wrong one. Nope, that's right. So this right here. Okay. As you can tell there, that's one of the things that I really like about Encompass is that they try to take care of the technician. They have so many free classes. You know what? You may need a refresher like this was today. You may not need it, but I always go and look and see if there's something that I think is going to be beneficial to me. Um, as a matter of fact, I probably will go to the class that Reggie is going to teach. Um, I think it's on the 13th. I will actually go and be in that class in the background and just see if there's anything that I needed to have picked up because I have training on dishwashers also, and I may get some good help there from Reggie. We all try to work together. There are other trainers besides me, and there's also many of the manufacturers love Encompass because we don't charge them to come and use our room. I actually was a trainer for several manufacturers, and I had to rent a space. I didn't have a good place like Encompass, and Encompass partner. We couldn't partner together, and we had the training facility, so you know the manufacturer will bring in the donuts and the everything else, and then we just Encompass uses lets them use the room. Even depending on where they're at, the Encompass may actually furnish the part of the training meals. So they're a great company to work for. Um, I really appreciate the time that they have given me. I appreciate your time as a technician, and you spent your time with me today. Everybody have a great day, and we will see you next time. Thank you. Oh, by the way, we will have another session on Tuesday and another session on Thursday of next week. Have a great weekend and be safe out there.